Well, fellas, another pretty crazy night at Knoxville last night. I think about everyone wants us to address the J.J. Brian Brown issue almost immediately. We'll probably get to that though. Probably when more people are when we have more people on here. We don't want to probably do it right away. Dom, what were your thoughts on last night?
I think for the rain that the track got, and I mean, really the last 2 days, I think they did as good of a job as they could have with the racetrack. The main event wasn't bad. I felt like the top was a little bit top dominant. The bottom was still kind of narrow, but all in all, pretty good race. I mean, the guys that I in the main event that I thought would do well pretty much did. Cam Martin locked into his first Knoxville Nationals. That's pretty cool. Congratulations to him and the team. Heat races were incredibly tough, it seemed like last night. I mean, really, really hard to get through them. Really, really hard to even just gain speed on a guy. I mean, Kyle completely stalled out in fourth. It was kind of just an odd night. It reminded me of a preliminary night a few years ago where the B main had 20 really good guys and the A main had 8. It was very odd. Something I don't feel like you normally see.
Yesterday, I kind of went through Sam's whole night. What Gio say about his night last night?
I think right now they're just. He said he's kind of just struggling, feeling a little bit laid left. He's like, I don't feel like our pill draw really hurt our qualifying. We just didn't have the speed we needed. And then the heat race, he goes, I was kind of surprised by the heat race. He felt like, once he got to, where did he run, third? He goes, once he got to third, he felt like he was going to be able to make a run. And he's like, I just couldn't. And then the main event, he said he just didn't feel great around the bottom, and he kept trying it. And he said he probably tried it a little bit too long, which I felt like too. Honestly, you didn't look like you did a very good job because you were messing around on the bottom when the bottom wasn't really there, and then you slid across it a lot of times, and I think that kind of hurt his progress. But I would agree. I think he was probably a third or fourth place car, maybe fifth at the worst, third at the best. But Schuhart and Larson were pretty good. I will say Hagar did a really good job.
What do you think, Sam? What were your random impressions of last night?
Well, I was really surprised how bad Sweet gapped everybody. It looked like in time trials, obviously first car out, it looked like it was really tough for guys to hit it, even though, we're running like a 15 flat, or he was at least. I think the fastest time for a long time was like a 15.4, and then, we had a 15.28. But, I mean, that was probably as impressive of a lap as you'll have at Nationals, if everybody's, all going out on a racetrack that fast. I was really surprised that nobody else could muster anything even close to that. And then, we had some guys go out late that put down like a 15.3 or something like that. But I thought that was huge for him to gap the field as much as he did. Really impressive for them with their, new crew chief, Casey. So I thought that was a really good start to the night for them. And I think after that, I felt like they were set no matter what happened through the heats, and they were. I think he was probably the strong point through the night for me. Even coming through the B, he got up to ninth in the A really, really fast. It looked like a handful of laps. It looked like he just tore through the field. So, and I think once he got to where he needed to get to in his head, I think he just rode the rest of the race. I don't think he really pressed hard. So I think Sweet's probably one of the fastest cars, and I don't think a lot of people really know it because he was so hidden in the A main, but I think he's definitely one of the faster cars.
I agree.
We got a person asking how he did it. You were actually how Sweet actually did it in those early laps. You were actually keeping tabs on him. What did you see him do in the early laps?
I mean, he just did, Brad Sweet type of stuff, man. He's not a multi-time national champion for no reason. I mean, he's unreal at every. There's not a part of a racetrack or a condition that Brad Sweet doesn't know how to drive and get the most out of. And I think last night he showed that. I think a lot of people have been down on Brad this year, like he hasn't been as dominant as he had been in the years past, and obviously with the crew chief troubles as of late and last year, I think I think he's trying. And honestly, with Casey and them, I think they think this is a big deal. I think they think that the 49 car needs to be there. It's the most important thing for Casey Kane Racing, and I think they're showing that, and they're putting their best foot forward. And I think it's a shame to see Casey hang it up on his side of the deal on driving wise, but at the same time, they're looking at the bigger picture, and I think they did the right thing.
Dom, you and I looked pretty smart last night. We almost looked super smart. Bubak was damn close to getting out of his heat, and I don't know if they showed it on Dirt Vision, but he was actually pretty competitive in the B, and he got flat out punted at one point.
Yes, he
first fan forum of the day, about ready to kick off on the second.
In case you can't tell, we're in the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, if you can hear that. But yeah, Bubak was making a nice run in the B and just got absolutely punted out of turn 2. He got turned right.
Turn right. I don't know how he didn't crash.
Yeah, I don't think that showed up on Dirt Vision, but he was having a pretty good night.
Who got him?
A 55 car.
Madsen. That doesn't sound like Kerry.
But yeah, we actually saw Cam last night after the races. Dom, why were you so confident he was going to look good?
Well, I mean, Lasowski's been helping that family for a few years now, and Danny is the king of Knoxville. I don't care if you look at 4 Knoxville Nationals versus 14 Knoxville Nationals. Danny is the king of Knoxville. He's won more races than anybody else there, and he has a way of talking to the driver and just, I don't know, like he taught my brother how to run that place. He taught myself how to run that place. He taught Donnie how to run that place. He just understands that racetrack better than anybody, I believe. And he also has fast race cars. So when you put those things into a young driver who has talent and who is, kind of green, having a coach like that is everything. You believe in your coach, you believe in your guys, you believe in yourself. And I think that's exactly what we saw. I mean, he had a heater of a lap. He did everything he needed to do throughout the night to just kind of, slowly but surely get himself in the position that he needed to. And, I think him and his brother both did a great job in the 360 Nationals getting themselves into that. And, I think Cam he's young, but I think he's going to continue to grow and prosper in the sport. Last night was a huge accomplishment. I mean, incredible.
So we've got our 16 locked in, guys. Do you guys, none of us have prepped for any of this. We're just going off the top of our heads. Do you guys have any observations when you look at the top 16? Anything stand out?
Boy, I tell you the first thing, Ryan Timms is a legitimate shot to win the Knoxville Nationals. The speed that he carried, I think he's looked the best of any car we've seen so far this week. I really believe that.
I thought the top 10 looked really weird. I remember saying that to you last night, Sam. I don't know what your thoughts were on it, but I thought the top 10, like the right guys I think are in it. They're just jumbled up in like kind of a weird lineup, like how they actually are. I
definitely expected Sheldon to be lower. Corey's about where I expected. I expected Rico to be higher. I expected Kyle to be higher. Emerson, Peck, they're kind of where I thought they'd be. I was surprised Williamson was as high as he was. I figured he'd be lower. And then I was surprised by my brother. I thought he would be higher. So.
Yeah, I honestly, I think, I'm not going to say, I don't know come 50 laps on Saturday if, this is a Ryan Timms race. I don't know because, he runs so hard, runs so aggressive, not really been in these situations before. Whereas you got like a guy like Macedo on the outside of the front row, like this race to me, spells Macedo domination or and I really think Logan Schuchart, this is the best opportunity he's ever had. I think you putting him up front, like he's come from deep so many years to get inside the top 5. It seems like, depending on the kind of track we get Saturday night, I could see this either being a Macedo or a Logan Schuchart type of race. I think it's going to be really hard for Larson and Rico. I think those are the 2 fastest cars coming into this week. I think it's going to be really hard for those 2 guys to make the ground they need to make up, even though they're only on the 4th row. I mean, this is a tough race. I think it's going to be really hard for those guys to make the ground they need to make up. But I really think Carson Macedo and Logan Schuchart, those 2 guys, I think, honestly, are the 2 that I think have the ultimate shot to win this race.
I will say one thing, though. I don't disagree with you, Sam, but we're looking at 2 25-lap features. And to me, it never plays out. Like a 40-lap race plays out so different than a race with a break in it. That's the only thing that I feel like will help Tim's. I think it'll help Macedo. I really do. I think it's going to hurt guys like Schuchart or Brad, and I think probably Kyle having that break in the middle. But that's going to probably be one of the only yellows. I mean, if you look back at the Nationals since they've done the split, there's usually very few yellows overall. Like if we're looking over the history of the 50-lapper, there's usually not a whole lot of yellows. There's usually not a whole lot of reds. So you might be looking at 3 yellows, maybe 4 yellows total throughout the 50-lapper if we're lucky. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes green to checker.
The last Nationals I remember where I thought the lineup was kind of jumbled was the one Schatz won. And I think you're going to see a race play out like that. Where
he won 10 of them.
The last race Schatz won. I think you're going to see a race like that where it's like the guy, like Austin led early, then Courtney led, then Gravel led, then Schatz led. I think you're going to kind of see a race play out like that where it's like multiple guys lead, a lot of them for the first time in their lives, maybe all of them. And I think you're going to see an A-main play out like that. But by the time you get around lap 40, I think we're going to have a pretty good idea of who's going to win it. But I think some guy, like when I look at that lineup, I feel like, I know, Sam, you say, and I've noticed this since you said it, like Macedo's lights out on starts, but I feel like Tim's leads early. Then I feel like Macedo gets him. Then I feel like Schuchart gets him. And then I feel like we got a race from there. But I think you guys think the Schuchart pass on Macedo's not necessarily a lock at all.
Then to talk about the one guy saying Sheldon is a sleeper. The reason I don't think Sheldon is a sleeper and I think they're going to fade a little bit is because after the race, Sheldon said that's the best his car has ever been here, and he still only ran 3rd in the feature. So unless they find more than what they had the other night, you have Tim's coming from 8th to win that thing pretty easily. So I don't think Sheldon's a sleeper for that reason. I think it's awesome that he is starting inside the top 5. I just don't see him as a sleeper. I think he's got a good car, and I think he feels as comfortable as he has. But like I say, for him to say, man, that's the best we've been here, they still got more on the table to be a little bit faster to be considered a sleeper in my eyes.
That's all we got for that one. We got a bunch of questions while we were talking there, and they're pretty long, so let's try to go through them. The first one is I'm impressed with, Brandon said I'm impressed with Garrett Williamson, especially after a spin in near contact by inches with another car on that false start in the heat. That was actually our heat too. Yeah, I wasn't surprised by Williamson at all. If you've been to Knoxville, he's been pretty good here for the last couple of years. Knoxville's actually where he broke out. Like he ran the ASCS, and he was kind of an also-ran, and then he started dipping into Knoxville and ran really, really well. And then he ran 1 or 2 years at Knoxville and got really, really good at the place, and that's basically what catapulted his career. So for him to be fast at the Nationals is not surprising to me. I don't know what you guys think.
No, I'm not surprised with him being fast at the Nationals, but I am surprised that he's as good as he is. And that spin, obviously, I mean, that was incredibly lucky. He didn't get hammered by somebody, but they've been good at times this year, but just not stellar. So, I mean, to come in and lock in, I guess I just didn't have him as one of the 16 guys before the weekend started as a lock-in.
Yeah, I think the whole field, is a little different than we expected just because of the track conditions. And, we could talk about format all day long. The more and more years we go by, the harder it is to get through these heats. And, you're seeing the likes of a lot of really good guys racing on Friday. It's probably the best field on Friday that I've ever seen. So that's why the field looks the way it does. But yeah, definitely not surprised with Garrett Williamson being in there. Maybe 11th wasn't where I had him. Maybe like the 16th guy would be, more realistic. But I mean, like I say, the way the points all shook out and the way everything is, I mean, it's just a little different looking field than we're used to. And, just the racetracks we've had, the rain we've had, just all that type of stuff has really led to, the jumbled up different look at the Nationals lineup.
We'll go through some other comments we had here. McFadden struggling after how good he looked at the cap. He surprised me. I feel he had to have damage with contact knowledge that they didn't get completely fixed. There's the possibility of that, but Sam and I actually ran into this phenomenon ourselves. If you look at Sam and the history of the Cappy, we're usually pretty good at it. We usually make the show. We usually do pretty well. And then that, I think Sam will agree, that gives us a false sense of security going into the Nationals on your prelim night. And then we've been terrible. And one thing that jumps out at me right away, I was kind of impressed by McFadden leading, and Sam said, well, of course he is. Look at the curb. He's awesome at running a curb. I don't know what you want to say about that, Sam.
No, I honestly, I think they were really good. I think James has been super fast all week. He looked good at the Cappy. He looked good at front row. I think that car is really good. I think, unfortunately they didn't get through the heat. They got through the last transfer in the B. And he did, in the interview after the B, he did say they had a lot of work to do. So it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't get everything totally fixed for the A, or maybe they had a bent ladder or something bound up in the car from the contact. And I could totally see that. I think, it's so hard to say, oh yeah, well, this was messed up on their car, that's why they didn't go any further forward. I mean, I think we expect to see a guy like James McFadden coming through the field like Rico and Day did, and obviously he didn't do that. So I would venture to say that there were some issues with their race car going into the feature Saturday night, or into the feature their Wednesday night.
Don probably actually knows the answer to this.
No, I don't know the answer to it.
I thought you guys were friends, Dom.
I mean, yes, but I don't know the answer.
God damn it, Dom. What are you doing out there?
Sorry.
So I guess we're probably about ready to talk about the JJ and Brian Brown incident.
Yeah, and I have my thoughts on it, but I kind of want you two to talk about it because you're actual racers that are actually in this situation. I don't know.
Honestly,
go first.
I kind of want to wait.
Okay, we can wait.
We can wait.
I want to wait until the end of it.
Yeah, okay, we'll go through more.
For everybody to get, and then hang on.
Looking through any comments here.
Well, so I wanted to ask Sam, like, you're 23rd right now. Obviously, you've got work to do in the B. It's doable, but you've got work. I mean, are we happy with the result? Are we not happy with the result? I mean, I've always felt like the goal is to be, top 26 in points after your preliminary night.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like we said before, like, when the big pill doesn't really bother the elite guys, and we're not, coming into this deal, we're not an elite guy. We're, we don't run 410s enough to be considering ourselves an elite guy. But to go out, drawing the 74 and to go out, I didn't really like my qualifying lap. I thought we had some issues with our race car, but the gains we made throughout the night to salvage the 74 pill draw, to me, that was honestly, it was rewarding at the end. Usually the guy that starts 10th outside the top 8 invert doesn't pass 4 cars. That guy usually fades back to about 15th. So for us to do what we did, battling really good race cars, got passed by Corey Day, got back by him, got back by Awesome Carl. We got by some elite cars there Saturday or Wednesday night. And honestly, I am very, very happy with our race car. I think, we had a new engine package in there that we weren't used to either, and we kind of fought that all night long. I think it even showed up in qualifying. Not that it was not running good; it was running probably too good, so we weren't in the racetrack. So honestly, we put a 15 night old motor back in the race car to run Saturday night because I know that's going to give us our best opportunity to get the car into the racetrack, and I feel like our car's really good. If we get the motor to work with the car and lay into the track a little nicer, I honestly think this is a very doable race for us if our car is just as good as it was the other night.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like looking at, I keep looking over the top 26 and like, you look at Wyndham and Marks, Jack Anderson, McFadden, Linton Jeffries and Parker, and then you. I mean, I'm not calling anybody out here, but I feel like if it goes like a normal Saturday, I think you can, we're probably going to beat Jeffries. We're probably going to beat Jack Anderson. We're probably going to beat Chris Wyndham. So that puts you right on the 5 bubble. You get one of the other guys and you're in. And I look at the guys behind you and I don't see Zierfoss, Dietrich, or Hagar passing you. So I do think it's doable. It's going to be tough, no doubt. But, I only ran the B main on Saturday that first year. And I remember thinking, like, I think I started 6th or something. And I remember thinking, like, I only have 2 spots to go, but there were so many good guys behind me where I was more worried about the guys behind me than in front of me. And I think that's honestly what cost me making it through. But I think with where you're at, I mean, like, I think you should be looking at it like you're going to make it in. And I believe you will.
Yeah, honestly, that's how I do feel. I feel like if our car feels as good as it did the other night and this motor responds the way I think it will, and we put something in there that we know, I think that that gives us our best opportunity. And like I say, if the car feels as good as it did the other night, I don't see I don't see us having a problem. I think we could hit the bottom better than most guys the other night when the bottom was really tough to hit and guys were just getting to the top. I really felt like we did as about as good of a job as anybody hitting the bottom. And when you can do that, that means your car's got to be pretty good. So I'm excited about it, to be honest. I'm probably looking more forward to this B main than I've been looking forward to any nationals I've been to in a long time. It's good to finally see us have an opportunity to put it in the show.
I honestly think too, and I don't know if you'll like me saying this. I think we'll know on lap 1 our fate. Like Sam and I were kind of talking last night, and I feel like if we're good, we're 5th on lap 1. If he's good.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that Knoxville, more than almost anywhere else, I guess maybe the Grove, but like that first corner is 60% of it. Like if you can roll the bottom and you can hit your mark on the bottom and guys miss it or whatever, you're off to a great start. If you can roll the top and you're not balled up behind someone and that lane goes, you're off to a good start. Now if you go and miss the bottom, or you go and the guy in front of you slows way down and you're chugging on the bottom, it's either going to save your nationals or it's going to fuck your nationals. It's going to be one or the other. But that first corner, I always feel like, is the most important corner in either the A or the B of the Knoxville Nationals.
Yeah, there's just so much you can figure out early. Like you figure out right away, okay, can you hit the bottom? Usually you can tell if a guy's got grip how their takeoff is on the start of the actual race. So it's funny to say, like, in a 22-lap race, we'll know where we're at on lap 1. But I feel like at Knoxville, that's actually a place where that's true. Like, especially if you run a lap around the bottom of that lap.
Well, yeah. And it's honestly the other side of it is you think about, the quality of cars. Like that's why it is. Well, lap 1, where you land, I mean, that has a lot to do with your finish because there's not slouches starting around you. Every guy's pretty competent. They're all in their own right. They deserve to be there. So it's not like a fluke that these guys are in there.
Well, one thing I wanted to add, like just about the guys that are around you is, Derek Hagar. I think for a lot of people that don't realize, this guy runs West Memphis. Like, he's not a half-mile guy. He's not even a 410 guy. And I personally, I think Hagar is one of the best guys in the country just because I've followed his career for so long. But, I mean, I think what he did last night really deserves some kudos. I mean, it's a car that doesn't really race much. It's an Australian-owned race car, I believe. I'm almost positive of that. And to come into the Nationals, start on the pole, he led laps, he ran a good race. I felt like that was an awesome performance. He led laps, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, early.
I thought he had a hell of a performance for a guy that runs short track 360s.
Yeah, well, that was my thing with Hagar is, like, Sam's had a pile of battles with Hagar at, like, some pretty big races, too. And I always feel like Hagar's really one-dimensional now. Like, he's really, really good at that, like, stupid good at that one dimension. But last night was not what he's good at. So Sam and I kind of looked at the lineup and we're like, well, Hagar's probably going to fade. And Hagar's a guy we're looking at because he time trialed, like, right around where we did. And he ended up fading, but not as far as I thought and not as fast as I thought. I don't know what you'd say, Sam.
Yeah, I honestly thought he held on as good of a guy in his situation would. I mean, most of those guys like that, they fade a lot harder. And then, obviously this, like we said, this isn't what he does. Like, it's a far cry from what he does. Like, where he races, they're running 704 gears and stuff like that. We're on a 526, 530 something out here. So it's just a whole different dynamic for him, a different race car for him. The whole thing is just honestly impressive for that team and for him. Like, it's obviously probably the best Knoxville Nationals he's ever had to this point. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see a talented guy like that do good, on this stage for sure.
Yeah, and like I was saying, like, trying to beat that guy in his home area, have fun with that. Like, they don't run 410s enough there for the world to be aware of how good he is.
Well, I would say he's the Justin Sanders of, like, the South, basically.
Yeah. And probably with a bigger gap. Would you say that's fair to say, Sam?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, because, like, I think of his All-Star win 2 years ago, back when the All-Stars were the real All-Stars and they were, you had a shitload of guys. I mean, he went to a place that, it was slick and slow and all this stuff. I mean, he did a hell of a job. He smoked Corey Day, smoked the All-Stars, and, I mean, that was the Reitzel era and the Sunshine era and Zeb Wise and, like, a lot of really, really top-tier guys on the All-Stars then. And, I mean, he made them look like, he made fast people look not fast.
Let's see what other questions we have here.
Brownie points for anyone that knows what movie that's from.
I kind of want to stay away from the format. I feel like we've beaten the format to death.
Who's your top three on Saturday?
Honestly, I'll go first. I still think Larson wins. I think it goes Larson, Schuchart, Rico.
So no Macedo.
No Macedo. I don't. I think I feel like Macedo.
Stop it, Chad.
I feel like you guys know. I feel like Macedo has a really strong surface. Like, I feel like last night's surface was right up Macedo's alley. I think it'll be slicker, and I just think he'll still be an elite car, but I don't think he's beaten the 24 on that, and I don't think he's beaten the 57 or the 1 if the track goes how I think it'll go. So
how do you, if that's your pick, how do you think, what's Larson's route to get through there?
I kind of implied what I thought it was going to. I think it's going to be pretty methodical, and then around like lap 30, 35, I think he just Larsons it, takes the lead and goes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Macedo's going to win the whole deal. I think he's going to be lights out. I think he's going to drive away with it. I think Schuchart's going to give him fits here and there. And I would say Larson would be my third place finisher.
And
I'm really going to put you guys up right now.
Sam knows I have a rule, which is if Larson starts in the top 10, I pick him.
I'm going to mess this whole thing up right now. You guys are going to shit. Are you ready? Ryan Timms wins. Corey Day second. Brad Sweet third.
See, I figured you were going with the track's going to be a certain way until you drop Brad Sweet in third there.
I think it's going to be fast, curbed up, and it's going to be very top dominant. And I think Ryan's going to get out front, and he's going to get yellows when he needs, and it's just he's going to go.
Zeb Wise wants to know who the three. I'm assuming it's Zeb because I don't think there's 18 guys on the planet named Zeb.
Yeah.
Hang on, hold on. What was his first comment? Go up to his first comment. Read that.
Which one of you three is using Gasm right now? That was one of the comments.
No,
And
before that.
Obviously, all three of us.
Dom is such a good-looking man.
Yeah.
Zeb, you come to my house, I'll treat you right.
Trying to see other questions.
Again, you come to my house again. Hey, here's a story. Was it Trophy Cup? I think it was Trophy Cup. Why else would Zeb have been at my house? But it had to be Trophy Cup. One night after a race somewhere, Sunshine and Zeb came back to my place, and we stayed up till 5 in the morning. I think their flight was at 5:30 or something. We stayed up till 5 in the morning. Me and Tyler did all the drinking, but we just bullshit. And that was one of the best times I've ever had. Like, so much fun. I think back about that. Like, I forgot about it, but I think back and like, what an awesome time that was. We just sat in my kitchen and bullshit all night. It was pretty cool.
Tyler was totally texting your wife.
He was in bed with her.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we had a great time. I sat and watched.
I had a great time in the cup chair.
Yeah. So what do we got here? Zeb says Trophy Cup. Someone was asking about Tanner Thorson. This is one where I think fans hate it and drivers and owners just go, yep, totally. Actually, owners hate this too in general. But there's certain racers are like, yeah, totally get it. Guys asking why, what are our thoughts on Tanner Thorson laying down time trial he didn't like and just calling it a night? My answer is I think that was great economics.
Absolutely.
I maybe you guys give your perspective of it, but like, there's literally no way he was going to lock in to the top 26. Why put your shit through all that?
Yeah, totally smart move on their part. When you're down and you're out, sometimes in those situations, the smarter thing to do is, okay, hey, let's pack our shit up. Let's go to Friday and try again. Like, I get fans wanting to see him run, but it's his operation. Do what he thinks best, and I think they did what they thought was best. I think it's a smart move on their part.
Zeb, just for people that don't see, said he was holding the camera while all these shenanigans went down.
Oh,
any word on why Timez didn't race at all? I don't really know anything, but I haven't even seen them race other than like a 305
Well, somebody
race.
said that he did get hurt or had a concussion at a 305 race however long ago, and that might be not true, but that's what I heard.
And then someone here saying Mike Ward at the Short Track Nationals drew a bad number and left.
Okay, the last thing I got, we've got the top 16 guys in the feature. We're going to play a game. Marry, kill.
You love
But it's as a car owner.
Okay.
So who are you going to hire for the season? Who are you going to hire just for the Knoxville Nationals? And who is your absolute no chance going to hire him of the top 16 guys?
Great, thank you.
And you can't choose Larson. Larson's out.
Okay. Mike.
So who you're hiring?
For the year, for the Knoxville Nationals, and then who you absolutely would not hire.
Of the top 16, I'm hiring Brad Sweet for the year. For the Nationals, I'm hiring Rico. And sorry, Cam Martin, but you're getting the boot.
Thanks a lot, Daryl. That's shitty.
Hey, Dom asked the question, and I had to answer. You're going to have to say someone, too.
Well, out of the top 16, Cam Martin probably would be the guy that's
God
getting the
damn
boot.
it, Cam. Can't keep it right.
But, that's just because he's only 20 years old, a lot less experience. I think come around next year at the same time and he does the same thing, well, then I think that definitely changes. But the guy you're hiring, I'm going with Macedo for the full time. And then for nationals, man, that's a tough one to be different. But I'd honestly say Gio for nationals. I think Gio is really good around Knoxville.
So I'm going to hire Rico full time. I think he's pretty good for the brand. I'm probably going to hire. I mean, I hate to do it. I probably would hire my brother, but if I want to be different, I'd hire Brad for the Nationals. But I think my brother's so good at Knoxville.
We just don't accept nepotism around here.
Yeah, I'm hiring Gio for the Nationals, and then who I'm not hiring, Sheldon. I'm not building 12 cars. I'm not doing it.
He's been good this year.
He really has
been great, and hats off to him. He's completely changed his program around, and it's showing. Like, he's way up in points, just like that hour-long rant that we had to cut out that one night of stop crashing. But he's doing it. So
has he ever talked to you about that since you did your stop crash? Since we let
you don't watch that shit, I'm sure he doesn't. But I mean, what's he gonna say? That was mean. I mean, it was true. I love Sheldon. I think Sheldon's badass. I literally love him.
I think what he's doing, you never see people do. Like, you always hear that line, if they're fast, you can slow them down. Oh, yeah? Name your guy that did that. If you're a meathead, you generally stay a meathead.
Yeah.
He actually did slow down.
Yeah, he's raced incredibly smart. Yeah. I think this is for sure his best year on tour. I mean, I don't care about win count. I don't care about any of that. I mean, this has been his most consistent, most solid year, I feel, from start to finish.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to ask him, I know Sam and I aren't close with him. I don't know how you are, Dom, but I'd be curious to ask him if he finds this satisfying. Like, you're obviously winning less. You are good in the points. Is it satisfying, or does he wish he was winning more?
I think any guy in his position, because he usually does win a fair amount of races per year, but obviously on the flip side, a lot of races they don't win and end up DNF'd at too. So this year it is definitely a better look for those guys, and I think that's the product of why they're sitting fifth in points rather than maybe a bubble guy. So I think Sheldon's. I don't know. He's like, I wouldn't even say he showed maturity because he's not new to the scene, but he definitely has taken a different route this year, it looks like to me. And I honestly think he's going to see more success over the next 2-3 years than he has his whole career.
We had a person write in that Team has said on Team has TV that he's battling a concussion right now.
Yeah, so that's what I had heard. I wasn't totally sure.
So then I think the obvious question is, like you and I looked super smart yesterday with Cam Martin and Bubak. Who are the 4 guys getting out tonight, fellas?
Well, Master Gasser's already put something down. Right. I mean, if you want to copy his stuff, you can.
Is Master Gasser in Knoxville? Are you in Knoxville, Master Gasser? Master Asser?
He's got to be in Knoxville.
Ask Master. Ask Daddy.
God damn.
Change your name to that.
Oh my gosh.
Why am I like that? I was just looking for something. Hey, how's the Hawaiian barbecue? Is it?
Oh, it's fire.
Yeah, Sam had it yesterday, and I looked at it. Why
so
didn't I
much.
eat that?
I'm thinking about getting another plate today. I'll send you a picture of it.
Ah, dude, it gave me the shits every time I ate it, but I loved it. It was so good.
No, Sam got me to eat it last year, and I don't remember it. And then I saw Sam's plate yesterday, and I'm like, mother of God, why didn't I get that?
Well, and you know what's funny is, I love that, the little child labor. They've got their, 7-year-old kids scooping the rice. It's so authentic. I love it.
I think we had a full-on adult last night.
Hey, on another note, I was on the Dirt Vision pre-race show last night, and I told Daryl, I said, man, they're putting up some figures that TDP can't throw
our
my
budget
way.
Can't handle it.
I don't know if we might be seeing some changes on the pod pretty soon here.
Yeah, I can tell you, if I keep racing the way I ran the first half of this year, that'll be my job, Sam. I got 2 kids I got to take care of, and this racing shit ain't gonna do it.
So someone's commenting here on Sammy seeming really loosey goosey, not pissed off. Sam,
He's
There's a
105. What's he going to be mad about?
Yeah,
The
there's a
food at
general
the
take on
retirement home? Come on.
that he's like this angry prick.
I don't think Sammy's like that. Sammy's just
I
serious.
want Sam to go into it. He was Sam's crew chief when Sam was young on the World of Outlaw tour. And I know Sam I think you really enjoyed your time with him. Could you kind of give people the Sammy away from the racetrack, Sammy?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. There's a Sammy at the racetrack, and then there's the Sammy away from the racetrack. I mean, yeah, Sammy's a pretty cool dude, honestly. Away from the track, he's your normal guy, just like any of us. He likes to joke around. He likes to have a good time. I seen him after the race last night in the pits doing a burnout on his little Burro Max, his little electric bike in a water puddle. So I mean, obviously he's definitely got a fun side. A lot of people don't ever see that though. I always try to explain to everybody, like, you'll never ever see the real person if you're just looking for him at the racetrack. I mean, a guy like me, man, I'm so serious at the track. I'm probably, most people think I'm an asshole. My wife thinks I'm an asshole.
I was going to say, they think you're an asshole?
Yeah.
But I really, truly think that, if you get the perception people get of someone just in their profession is definitely the wrong way to go about it. But Sammy has honestly been out to dinner several times, done things away from the racetrack, and honestly, he's a really cool guy away from this environment. And I think honestly, these last few years, he looks like he's actually even having more fun just being at the track. Some of the interviews that he had last night were classic Sammy interviews that, the Sammy deal. I just thought that was pretty funny. And kudos to him because he probably just sold like 10,000 T-shirts on top of what he's already sold this year. So I thought last night was a good look for him too. To be what I would consider like down and out after last year with the new style race car. Those guys actually came back and got a lot more speed this year. And I mean, you got to think of Sammy's age. Daryl said this yesterday, 49 Knoxville Nationals. Probably going to go for 50 next year, I would assume.
He might be the only guy.
Yeah, that'll never happen ever in the history of racing to run the Knoxville Nationals 50 times. That's incredible. It's honestly cool to still see Sammy around. A lot of people always say, man, I wish Steve would have stopped in his prime, or honestly, I'm glad Sammy didn't stop in his prime. Like he still adds that intrigue. And you can hear the diehard Sammy fans still out there to this day when he's out there. I thought it was really cool last night to hear all the cheers for him.
Yeah, I think a couple things. I think Flea Rusig on Twitter has done a good job of showing like Sammy's fun side, playing guitar, just stuff like that. And the other thing I'd say is like when we post social media stuff, Sammy Swindell is number one. Like he beats Steve Kinzer, he beats Jack Hodenshield. If I want something to get numbers, Sammy Swindell is your guy to get numbers. There's so many. Everyone on the planet has an opinion of Sammy Swindell. If you're a sprint car fan, you either hate him or you love him. And he's so polarizing and unforgiving, like in terms of he does not give a shit if you hate him, that pretty much no one has just a small opinion of Sammy. You either love him or you hate him. And I think a lot more people these days are going into the loving camp.
I agree. I don't know how you hate Sammy. I mean, he's a legend of the sport, one of the greatest of all time. And I mean, to still be doing it and be competitive is just, it's incredible. I mean, hats off to him. And I'm sure he'll try for 50. So that's, it's a shame he only won one Knoxville Nationals. I mean, if you think about it, like that's impressive that he only won one.
He's the Mario Andretti of Knoxville. Like Mario only won Indy 500.
Yeah.
And then someone said here, I don't know if we're going to get into it yet, but he's like, can you believe JJ didn't say God bless America at the end of the interview? I'm like,
yeah, he's not the only one that said that.
Yeah,
That's
this
the
is
only-
this is JJ's killing the brand here. He's just not embracing that God bless America.
Do you think JJ's watching right now?
No, not at all. JJ's not even close to watching right now.
I like the one.
JJ's going through Twitter looking at his mentions, just going, man, people are mean.
One of them says, did Gio get rid of the butt lube seat? He had a Butler built seat that I took the stickers off and I put butt lube on it on the side. Yeah. He ran for like 5 years, didn't even know it. I honestly think he still has it, but I'm sure it's not in the 7BC.
Let me just go through questions here. You guys still haven't told me who the 4 guys are that are getting out.
Yeah, I told you to ask Master Gassers. He just.
I heard ICE is looking to deport Wade before Saturday.
Master Gassers says Carson McCarroll or Kerry Madsen are good bets. Gravel and Macri. He also said his next race is Narkit Tulare there, Dom. So you guys can have a little.
Yeah, you definitely need to come by and see me. No doubt about that.
Have a nice little 2-man circle jerk there. That'll be good.
Absolutely, a little docking session. Okay, my 4 for tonight.
I got Donnie Shots and David Gravel, or 2 of the guys I got.
Jimbo says Sam would make a great replacement for Hannah on Pitbull.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I think she's pretty good at what she does.
Yeah, it's so hard to go on and do things in one take, too. Like, I was watching Sam on the Dirt Vision thing and just watching Dave Reef and going,
Dave Reef is
mother
a beast.
of God, he's good.
And Connor Wade is pretty impressive as well. I was blown. I've seen Dave Reef. He did a deal with ASCS last year in Nebraska, and it's probably what I would consider the ultimate professional. Unbelievable how much time and effort it takes. And like, I don't think a lot of people get a good appreciation for like Connor Wade and these guys. Like, dude, they're flying off the cusp half the time. Like, it's and to be able to speak the way they speak without hesitation. He said, Sam, he goes, we're basically going to throw you softballs and you're going to hit them. And I said, hey, man, as long as you set me up, I'll be okay. I definitely can't do what they can do. It's very impressive what those guys can do.
Yeah, and like at first I'm watching off to the side and I can see this screen and I'm like, these bastards are cheating. They got a teleprompter literally telling them. And then I sat at a different spot and I was like, nope, that's just literally like video showing them like what they're talking about. Like they are just going off the cuff. And man, people trash announcers all the time and TV people. Dude, it's so hard to get it in one take. If people knew how much we cut from an episode,
okay,
I think people would love us to go live. And it's like, yeah, it wouldn't be nearly as good. We're a disaster.
Okay, I got Gravel, Shots, Buddy, and Macri.
I think Dave Reef is incredible as well. I remember him from the drag racing days, and he was always incredible. I've got Donnie, Gravel, Carson, and Tanner Holmes.
I don't disagree with Tanner Holmes. He's been fast.
Carson, the premise is the time trial. Like Carson has to, like that's one thing about tonight's format and the Cappy is there. I think I said this yesterday. They're such mean formats. Like you can be. I remember one year Sam and we were on our spare motor and it was pretty down on power and we went out mid to late in our Friday night session and we found the bottom. No one else had run it, and Sam found the bottom, and I think we ended up timing second quick at the time. And there was like 12 guys left, and we ended up like, 13th quick or something like that.
Daryl, you remember shit.
And 13th quick isn't terrible, but guess what? That's B main. You're basically starting out of a transfer in a B main spot because you split the group in two. Like that format, when you go straight up like they do on a Friday, that format is really, really, really tough. So I actually think a lot of years there's guys that get in that we don't think are going to get in, and it's really, really draw dependent. Like they need to go out early. Generally in that race, of course, it's ideal when they get the track to be even the whole way through. But the reason it's really hard to be like, oh, I'm just going to pick this guy to pull the upset is because like he can get eliminated pretty quick. like especially with it being like we're starting this field straight up, and that's not a bitch at the format. That's not a oh my god I'm bitching about the format. Just when it's straight up, you can't have a hiccup. I think that's like a pretty obvious thing to say, right? Like, so we got more here. Glad Sam brought Buddy up. Yeah, he. I think he was a guy everyone was looking to have a breakout nationals here. He obviously can still do it from tonight, but what were your guys' thoughts on Buddy?
I just
thought they looked off all night.
Knoxville's different though. Like Knoxville's not Eldora. It's not the Grove. It's not Port. It's its own beast. And I think there's guys that do well at Knoxville or do bad at Knoxville, and it's a learned thing or it's a off the cuff thing. But like I don't remember everybody being very good at Knoxville. I think it's one of those places he hasn't mastered yet and hasn't gotten that speed at yet. But I mean, I think it'll come for sure. It's just it hasn't yet.
Yeah, like my memory of last night is that 1 and 2 was killing him in time trials. Like he looked like he was entering the corner. He was looking like he was having to do everything right, but at the center of the corner, I'm not smart enough, but maybe on watching on TV, or maybe you can tell Sam when he would get to the corner, he's having to do a big lift on the bottom, and that was killing his laps. I don't know if that came across.
Yeah, I would
on Dirt Vision.
Master Gassers pointed out that statistically, Buddy isn't good at Knoxville, and this is what I'll say about a guy of his caliber. I mean, let's face it, he's an elite driver anywhere he goes. But I always ran into this same thing with Christopher Bell at Knoxville. Some guys don't know how to give sometimes correct feedback at this particular place. And I don't know what it is, but I remember Christopher Bell first coming here, and he was awful. I mean, you never see Christopher Bell be awful anywhere. And especially like these guys, I think, like a Buddy Kofoid or a Christopher Bell, when you put these guys at any type of racetrack, they can usually get the most out of a race car possibly. So when they're struggling, I think it's more of I don't think they're struggling driving the racetrack. I think they're struggling with feedback to their team so their team can do the correct adjustments to the race car. Like I really, truly think that's more of what it is, because Christopher Bell used to explain like what he was feeling to me, and I'm like, man, well, maybe you're giving some of the wrong information back to your guys, and I think Christopher obviously got better, but he didn't really get to run Knoxville a bunch. But I think that honestly is probably some of Kofoid's problem here at Knoxville. I think that maybe the feedback that he's giving maybe isn't quite what they need, or they're getting mixed up on what they need to do. And I truly think it's just that. I think Buddy could go hit the tight little bottom if he had to. He can rip the lip if he has to. Like it's not driving. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Hey, Alex Johnson 16. Tell me where you got those stats, because if that came off the top of your head, holy shit! But I want to know, because
the third turn Buddy has 2 top 5s in 22 races, is I believe what I just read.
Yeah, the third turn gives you a lot of information, but not like weekly shows. I would like if that was off of
ratings. Sprint car ratings might have gotten him that one.
Maybe, yeah, I'm on there a lot too, but that's a good stat.
What was I going to say about Buddy? I think the other thing too, like, do any of you guys disagree? If Buddy starts in Spencer Bayston's position last night, he could have won the feature
for sure.
Like, it's just one of those. Yep, sprint car ratings. It's just one of those things where it's like, like we always talk about. Oh my God, it's a game of inches. I literally believe he could have won the feature in the right spot. But I do think Bayston's the guy we need to touch on. We haven't talked about him a lot this year, and I think one of the things we don't really want to do is really like talk about guys that are like, he might be on the hot seat. But I mean, every time a ride comes up or a driver comes available, they say he's got to be in the 4. They should put him in the 14. They should put him in the 14. Do you think he answered critics pretty well last night, or what were your guys' take on Bayston? Do you think he should be on the hot seat? Uh, I felt like he delivered last night. I felt like he drove a pretty damn respectable, good race.
Yeah, with their time trial slot, I mean, he got as much as he was going to get out of that car. I mean, they put themselves in a hole early, and he actually got them out of that hole. I think I'm so indifferent about, man, should this guy or that guy be on the hot seat? You know, my take on a lot of that stuff. It takes years to make a competitive national team. This stuff doesn't start in 1 year. It takes way more than, 1 year to make something happen. And honestly, he is a national level driver, no doubt about it. Is he, the top 10 national? Probably not, but he's definitely, I don't know. Like, it's just all that depends on is what's the expectation of the car owner, where, what do they feel like they need to do? And that tells you if they're on the hot seat or not.
Now, someone here wrote in sports. First of all, a bunch of people are praising up sprint car ratings.
Autograph session at 11.
It is a great website.
Yeah, the JJ deal.
So Sam's got an autograph session in 12 minutes, so we should probably get on the JJ thing. Like I say, I'm going to stay out of it. I want that to be more driver input than me input.
Who's going first?
I'll go. I mean, I know your take's different than mine, so as far as the JJ thing last night, like, I don't think JJ did anything wrong. And I'm not saying this because he's a homer here with TDP. Basically, if he's running fourth in that race, his job as a race car driver is to try to lock into that prelim A. Yes, they're probably not going to make enough points to make it in straight into Saturday. They're going to have to run, Friday night. But he wants to get his A main start money at least, or something like. So his job is to make that show. Now you got Brian Brown on the other foot. He's up to fifth right through the first few laps. He's making some tries to get around Hickel, and Hickel's struggling to keep the car on the bottom. People are thinking like he's just purposely blowing out here. If Hickel could stick the bottom all the way around perfectly, that's what he's trying to do. He's not trying to fan out and blow into Brown's line. That's not what's happening. And I know from the outside looking in, the average fan goes, "Oh man, he's blocking, he's doing this." And I don't think JJ was blocking, because if JJ was blocking, those moves where he misses the bottom, he's driving straight across to block that line, and he didn't do that. Did he stay out a little further than he wanted to? For sure he did. But and then Brown honestly was probably getting a little desperate. He's like, man, if I could, you got to think from Brown's vantage point. He's thinking, man, if I clear this guy and I get into the top four, my points are going to be so good. I'm starting in the first two rows of the A main come Saturday night. No matter what happens, we're set. And I think he really pressed. He pressed and pressed and pressed. And he saw the time dwindling down. He's like, man, I got to get it. And, I'm not going to fault. I'm not going to fault any guy, but, Brown drove up over Hickel's right rear. It's not like Hickel threw the right rear out in the middle of the straightaway, like it's coming through the corner. So I don't think it was malicious on Hickel's part. I think Brown was going for a gap and trying to push that gap. And they got together. I mean, honestly, it is a racing deal. I feel bad that Brown got hurt and ruined, obviously ends his nationals. They had probably one of the fastest cars at Knoxville the last 3-4 weeks. Had a lot of speed out at Eldora. I feel bad for them in that sense. Nobody wants any guys to crash and get hurt. That's definitely not why we do it. But at the same time, like if you're JJ, what do these people expect him to do? Just pull down and let the guy go by? Like that's not why we race. I don't think that JJ did anything wrong. I think if JJ had it to do over again, he wishes he could hit the bottom every lap for 10 laps. That's what JJ wishes he could have done. Even when Sammy got around him at the end, JJ's trying to hit the bottom. If you watch the race, he never even alters his line of trying to do something different. So I feel like he got a bad rap, and obviously, his interview probably wasn't the most fan friendly since we're in Brownie country, but he wasn't wrong in his interview. I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong. I think, and I don't think Brownie did anything wrong either. I think he's just going for it. I get probably both teams would be upset. I get that. I understand it. I understand if Brown was mad at the time. I understand if Chad and the crew was mad at the time, because you should be. I mean, you just junked your Nationals car. Your driver just got injured. There's a lot on the line, a lot of sponsors watching. So, like I say, I don't think anybody did anything wrong. I think it's a racing deal at the end of the day, and I don't think there isn't one driver in that field that would have just pulled down and let Brownie go by.
Yeah, like before Dom goes, that's kind of the perspective I want people to look at is like, what do you tell your crew if you don't try to stop Brian Brown from making that race? Like, how do you keep a job if you're like, well, you know what, we were struggling, so I just, I played it safe for the last whatever laps. Like, I'm wording this really badly. It came out a lot better in my mind, but like, how does a driver look at the owner in the eye and say that they didn't do everything they could to hold on to the last transfer spot of the Knoxville Nationals? And my belief is if you walk through those pits, you're going to get a lot of 50-50. I think you're going to get less blame if you walk through the pits than people think you would get for either guy. Dom, if you want to say your side.
I think we need to put a couple things into perspective. I think the first thing we need to put into perspective is JJ doesn't crash anybody on purpose. That's just the truth. I mean, he doesn't do it. The second thing is, I love Brian and I love JJ. I think they're both
Eric,
awesome.
get the out of here with that stupidity. Just get the out of here. You're off. Go.
That's
go
ridiculous. Anyways, Brian crashed his uncle Danny in the B main for the final transfer on Saturday night of the Knoxville Nationals. Does anybody remember that? The Lasowski family feud? Okay, because there's a lot of people that must have forgot it, because that's what this race means. I mean, if Brian is willing to turn left on his uncle, I wouldn't blame JJ for right rearing Brian on purpose, but that's not what happened. What I feel like is, I think JJ was not very good at all. He was garbage. He's trying to hold on to that fourth transfer. He's sliding across the racetrack, because when you hit the bottom, you can't stop and roll the bottom. You have to be able to drive across. If you miss it, you've got to go all the way across. You don't have a choice. I think Brian was feeling like he ran out of time, just like Sam said, and there's only so much that you can do. So to me, I think it was a complete racing thing, but if I'm going to put the blame on somebody, I feel you have to put it on Brian. Brian it's not like he didn't see him coming up the racetrack. It's not like he didn't see where he was at. At no point was he ever around JJ to know, like, hey, like, I'm here, I'm up here. JJ never ran him out of room. JJ missed the bottom, hit the berm, and he slid across. I don't think JJ did that on purpose. I don't think that Brown did it on purpose. I really, truly believe that it was just a racing thing. And, it sucks for both teams, but Brian's a hard racer. I think he didn't realize how many laps were left, and he pushed a little bit harder than he probably should have. And it is what it is. So, at the end of the day, it sucks that Brian got hurt. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I love Brian. Brian gave me my, biggest opportunity to go down to Australia, and I was able to do that because of Brian. JJ is one of my buddies. I like both these guys. I don't think either of them did anything wrong. I think it's the Knoxville Nationals. And I think if we're going to point fingers, I can't possibly blame JJ, because how is he supposed to know? And for the fans, I would love to know, what do you want the guy to do? Honestly, like, yes, I understand. What do you tell your karma? But what do you want this guy to do? He's holding the last transfer. Should he not do everything in his power? He didn't run into the guy. He didn't turn into him. He didn't do anything. He hit the berm. You can see the video. Actually, I'm going to give a shout out here, and I shouldn't. The Chaz has a video of him going into turn 1, hitting the berm and sliding across. If you hit the berm, you are going to go all the way across. That's what it's going to be. So I really believe that all the people that are giving JJ shit or giving Brown shit, neither of them haven't driven a sprint car. They have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. And it's sad that fans bash guys when they do give an interview and they speak their mind, just like we see with Gravel, or just like we see with
yesterday on Twitter.
You what?
I went on this rant yesterday on
Twitter.
Yeah,
I mean, it's we want guys to not be politically correct, and then we bash them endlessly when they aren't politically correct. It's terrible. I think the fans need to figure out what they want, because you can't get both. And I don't know. I don't think either of them did anything wrong. It's the Knoxville Nationals. I mean, what do you want a guy to do?
Yeah, like.
Here we got this really smart guy here.
This guy is a
You
moron.
can hear guys back there. You know when there is someone.
You can hear cars on the course all the time. It doesn't mean that they're next to you.
Of course.
This is ridiculous.
Guys back there. Yeah, we know that. So what do? So you want us to? We hear a guy back there. So now you know what? Let's just hit the brakes and let him go by. No, it's called racing, and you try to stay ahead of the guy in front of you. Now, if you want to get, if you guys want to talk about somebody blatantly wrecking somebody or something, he didn't slide job him and slide up and run in the side of him. He didn't chop his nose off. He didn't do any of that. Like if Brian Brown shows his car and JJ hits him, yes, that's on JJ. But JJ did not ever physically try to hit Brown. He's behind him. And if you watch the video, Brown jumped JJ's right rear. Now, did JJ slide across? Yes, he did. But it wasn't on purpose. He's trying to hit the bottom. If you watch any guy that run this racetrack, that's what they're trying to do. If they enter on the bottom, they're trying to hit the bottom, or they slide straight across. There's two options. And if they miss the bottom, they're hanging on. That's what they're doing. Like, so any guy that acts like they know, they have no clue at all, especially guys that probably haven't ever even suited up before.
And yeah, as the 12-lap record holder at Oshwegan Speedway, you know a guy's there, but guess when you know? When he actually gets there. Well, you don't know until he's actually there.
Here's what I'll say on it, and this is the only thing I'm going to say on that, because I don't even want to waste time on that. But yes, you hear when someone's there. What the fuck are you supposed to do? Well, I'm just going to leave the guy a lane and let him go right by me. We are racing for a job here. I've never seen Brian Brown let somebody go by, ever. In the history of the racing, of the sport, I've never seen someone just go, you know what? I'm going to let a guy go by. I don't know. Sometimes I think that people that aren't successful in a sport, they don't know, and they don't know they don't know. You don't know what you don't know, and that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, I honestly, both of these guys are friends of mine.
Hell, you went on a trip to Mexico with Brad.
Well, I didn't go with him. He was there. But the thing is, like, both of these guys are friends of mine, and I don't see any malicious anything from either one of them in this situation. And honestly, I hate it for Brown. I hate that JJ was the guy that got in the mix, because now, there's a lot of stupid fans out there making
not even stupid,
jumping to conclusions about things they know nothing about.
Yeah, like until you've been in the spot, I just don't know how to explain. Yes, JJ knew someone was there, 100%. But it's also his job to keep that guy behind him. I think that's the bottom line of what we're saying. Like, if he doesn't do that, he's not doing his job.
If he doesn't do that, the 2M should fire him. Bottom line.
Yeah. How do you come back and face your crew and be like, well, like I said earlier, like, we just weren't good. It wasn't our night. So,
all right, boys. Well, I got to go to this autograph session. In the
See you, Sam. Good luck tomorrow.
Hall of Fame. Thanks,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that you can say that JJ's move was malicious or unsafe or anything like that. I mean, it is what it is. What happened, and with same thing with Brian. Brian's pushing the issue. He's trying to make it into the Knoxville Nationals to win the Knoxville Nationals. I'm not blaming either of these guys for shit.
I think the thing I'd say, and I said this to Sam in advance because I tried to stay out of this as much as I could, but of course I have an opinion, is both guys knew the situation in that corner. This wasn't a surprise. Brown knew JJ was struggling and had to take advantage of it. And JJ knew he was struggling and had to hang on for dear life.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, we can sit there and say, oh my God, Brown went too early. But what you have to, again, now put yourself in Brown's shoes. What if JJ starts hitting the bottom?
Yeah.
What if JJ starts figuring out what he's done wrong, and then all of a sudden he's gone?
Yep, just like all the other heat races.
Yeah, so it's like you can say be patient, but I don't even blame Brown for being impatient. Like if the lap before, I want to say the lap before or 2 laps before, JJ hit the bottom. Like he hit it right. And JJ saw that he gained a ton. There was a third place. This is the thing you don't really see. They were running down the third, maybe not running down. They were with the third place car. And JJ knows if he hits the laps he's hitting it, he's catching that third place car. And I just feel like both people are like, oh, he's blocking him. Both guys knew the situation going into turn 2. Both guys were, trust me, Brown was, hell, I'll tell you this, Brown was wanting him to f up the corner.
Yeah.
Brown wanted him to f up the corner.
Yeah.
And Brown hoped he could get through that hole. Like that, it wasn't like some deal where it's like, oh, Brown hit him, and then it's like, well, Brown might not have known, but JJ was sliding in. Both these guys knew the terms going into turn 1 and 2 on that lap.
Yeah.
It just ended up really, really shitty.
Yeah.
This is just I see this question all the time. Dom, as a driver, how hard is it to be racing and still look at the board in 3 and 4?
It's really easy at Knoxville. Just because when you come off of 2, I mean, once you get to the end of 2, I mean, you can see the board clear as day. And I remember it had to have been, it was the Hard Knocks night, the last year around the Nationals, 2019. And I remember watching every single lap because I was in 4th, and I'm like, every lap you come off of 2, and it was showing me because I don't even remember who I had behind me. It might have been Sammy, actually. Sammy or McCarl, somebody like that. And every lap I come off 2, and I would kind of gauge where am I at compared to these guys. I mean, I wish they would move it to the back straightaway or, somewhere where the drivers can't see it, because it is definitely used as a tool to block. And, I was using it to, like, okay, is this guy close enough to, be able to slide me or anything like that? Or where's he coming off of turn 2? Is he gaining me or what it is? And at the same time, Shane Stewart was in the 5 car in front of me running out of fuel. And I was trying to not race Shane because he was kind of having an intermittent fueling problem. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Sorry, I'm just having trouble hearing you because Hall of Fame's making some announcements. But yeah, like this guy's saying, split-second decisions these guys are making.
Yeah, I don't think anyone, to summarize it, nobody did anything wrong. It was hard racing, and I feel for Brown. I feel for JJ. I mean, but I mean, these fans that are just lighting JJ up, I just don't agree with it. I mean, the guy spoke his mind. Does anybody that doesn't race, they don't even know the adrenaline that you're coming down from, and then bam, microphone goes in your face. You're revved up, you're pissed off, you've got all these emotions going on.
And they're parked beside each other.
Yeah, you've got into a screaming match with your neighbor who you just crashed. I mean, it's a nightmare.
There was a question asked earlier that I wanted to get back to, totally switching topics. Someone asked why you thought Tanner Holmes would be one of the 4 when in his opinion, there's a lot better racers. The one thing I wanted to say that just before you get into your speech is obviously we did the 360 Nationals, and I worked with Joe Gertie there. Joe Gertie was blown away by how well Tanner Holmes, in that B main that was 1 lap too long, he was blown away by how well Tanner Holmes was running the bottom there in terms of just hitting the marks every single time, about as fast as you could possibly do it. I think if Joe came away from 360 Nationals impressed by any guy, I think he would say Tanner Holmes. Now go into your beliefs.
Tanner, I think, is incredibly impressive. I watched him, when he first started, and, I would consider him a friend of mine. And, watching him at the Dirt Cup this year was one of the moments where last year, I think at Summer Nationals, he ran second, or maybe that was a couple years ago. He ran second, and that was at the time his biggest performance on a big stage like that, or a bigger race, and he did well. And then I felt like he did really well in the 1A, and then now this year, where I feel he's really kind of hitting it is when the pressure's on, he's not making mistakes. And I think that's the reason why I'm probably going with him as the top 4, because I feel like, usually there's going to be a Knoxville local. There's going to be a guy or two that should be in that had a bad preliminary night, which will be like gravel. And then there's usually, I feel like a lot of times a guy that's like, wow, I didn't really maybe expect him, or wow, that guy was really good on his prelim night and just didn't make it through. I feel like Tanner's going to have a night like that.
Can we say Corey Eliason getting in the 5H is the biggest Hard Knocks upset? That's the one that comes to mind for me.
That was so cool. So we were
it was the Harley Van Dyke 5H, right?
Yes, we were parked next to him. Harley's daughter passed away that week. She was in a car accident and she unfortunately lost her life. And if I remember right, Harley went home. So I don't remember. I think it was Fez working on it back then. So it was Fez, Corey, and then Scotty Martin and Brandon Hickman, my guys. They helped work on the 5 car that night and he locked in. And I remember like such a small funded team, like incredibly underfunded team, and Eliason did a great job that year and to get it in. I mean, it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
And going back to Holmes, like I said this on the podcast, like that's the only guy I've seen pass Trey Starks at Skagit. Obviously, I'm not there every week, but
yeah,
I've seen the last 3 dirt cups, and I have not seen Trey just like get straight up past.
Yeah.
And Holmes did it with all the money on the line and did it impressively. And you can argue if they don't get that restart, Holmes beats them.
Yeah, very well could have.
Or that red, because basically, like Trey said, they had to change their fueling.
Yeah.
Do we got any more or anything you want to add? I'm just checking out. Most people are just Kyle also mentioned Silva being better at seeing what the car is doing than Kyle sometimes is at feeling it. Is that normal? Is that a special thing between Silva and Larson?
Sorry.
Okay, I'll touch that first. I'd say if he's better at seeing it than the driver, I'd say that's not normal. I can tell you it's really driver to driver, and I'll mention Dom in this. I think it's driver style, but Dom can probably definitely elaborate more on this. When I watched Dom run Dirt Cup, that was the first time I've ever gone to a race where like Dom's been my guy, and that's who I'm caring about, and that's who I'm watching the whole time. I found it very easy to watch Dom's car and see what he was struggling with. Now, I find the opposite when I watch Sam's car. I find when I watch Sam's car, if Sam looks loose, he's probably tight. And if he's tight, he's probably loose. The reason I find that is because I usually find Sam is compensating for whatever he's feeling. And I don't know if overcompensating is the right word, or usually if Sam's fighting something, it'll look like the opposite. That's my general takeaway from watching Sam. Whereas when I watch Dom with his driving style, usually when I see him, on the 3 days I focused on him, you could see what Dom was saying. I think that's driver style. A lot of the elite crew chiefs are very, very good at watching the car. Listening to Joe break down a lap of Alex is beyond impressive. I generally thought I was pretty good at it, and then I've started racing with Joe, and I don't think I'm in the area code of Joe at doing it. What are your thoughts, Dom?
Yeah, I think that the good guys can manipulate the race car to where, it looks a certain way and maybe it's a different way. And I think really that weekend there was no hiding what we were struggling with. But I do believe that people don't realize that, a lot of people think, okay, my car's free, so you're just going to drive the car straighter or slower. That's not the case. Oh, my car's tight. Oh, you're just going to run it harder. That doesn't work. It's not how it really works. You're doing things on entry. You're doing things with how you're turning the car. You're doing things with your feet to change, what you're doing. But, I remember I had a guy I worked with years ago, and he was like, I was tight, and he's like, just run it harder. Like, that doesn't work. You're still tight. I've had times where you're free, and you just got to back your entry up, and that's not the case. When it's free, usually on most racetracks, what you're going to want to do is you're going to try and get your wing back to a point where either the left rear is down and you start getting a little bit of counter steer in it. You start getting a little bit of right front, or you're going to start running the car, almost harder and faster to plug the right sides into the top. When you're running the bottom, you're plugging your left front into the berm. When you're tight, a lot of times, there's times where you can actually get your wing back to help get the car left to where it'll help keep the left side down to help you rotate. Or, like in my situation there at Dirt Cup, the left side wouldn't get down. So then you're trying to drive across the racetrack. You're trying to, get wheel spin from underneath the cushion. You're lowering your entry a little bit to stay away from the grip. So you have to do a lot of things as a driver to make that change. But sometimes if you're off, you're off.
Yeah. Someone wrote here, any new rules discussion? Let's cost us more money. Dear God, do I feel like you do on that, sir? Stephen, couldn't agree with you more. I got kind of nervous. I went to Brad Sweet's forum just before ours, and he implied that there was going to be some safety talk. There's going to be a safety council meeting. I don't know if it happened already, but there's supposed to be one this week. Those terrify me. Brad did say that the problem with safety is everyone has like so many different opinions on it. Like, I'll give an example. Some people will not run their son in a car without a halo. I've heard of drivers getting paralyzed because they had the halo and then it dug all the dirt up and acted like a scoop and compressed the guy's neck. That's one of my biggest bitches about sprint car racing is I think even the leaders as a whole, and I don't blame them, I just don't, we're a niche sport. We don't have the money to know this stuff, but and Brad spoke about this, cause and effect. You don't want to bring a rule in and have it affect things in ways you didn't think. So dear God, I hope there is no, sounds messed up to say, but I really hope there isn't any safety changes, safety rules. Guys are getting hurt. Like, before you could just say Eldora, but then Brown's obviously hurt tonight, or last night. But just from the way Brad was talking, I feel like there's a change or two coming. They're probably going to iron it out this week. What I will say is the Outlaws were always very quiet on that stuff, but I have a feeling if you're a close friend to like a high limit guy, it's probably like general common knowledge around high limit, what those changes are. Like I say, the Outlaws tend to be more quiet about that stuff and then announce it. There's probably people in the pits 100% right now that you could walk up to and tell you that answer. I have no answer. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Dom?
A couple of the things that I would like to see implemented would be the underneath covers on the tanks, like the carbon Kevlar or titanium covers, just as a little bit more protection from the rear end piercing the actual bladder and the tank. I think that would be something that wouldn't be a big change, but I would like to see that happen.
This guy Ricky's saying we need to make the chasm. Oh, sorry, he's actually talking seriously. Chasm. He'd like to see it mandatory.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
I think there's a lot of drivers that would disagree with that one. I think
there's
a lot of drivers that would agree.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anyone on our pod that plans to run the chasm anytime soon. Sam runs the XC gear thing, and it's not oh my God, I hate the chasm. Sam saw the XC gear thing and thought it was brilliant, especially for different angles of hits. Is that the knock on chasm, I'd say, Dom? Is it?
I have nothing bad to say about chasm. Where my issue stands, I will never run something in my race car where my seat can move and my belts don't. It's incorrect. It's wrong. I don't give a shit what anyone says. It's incorrect. So what we need to come up with is a way to put the belts on the seat.
Which I think everyone is trying to do right now.
I agree. But until that happens, I'm not even looking at chasm. I'm not even considering it.
Yeah, like I do, and I think there's guys that'll like we're saying, yeah, we wouldn't. There's guys that absolutely swear by it too. Like let's get that across. As guys absolutely swear by it. What would you say, Dom? Probably 90% of the elite drivers have switched to the Sharpley seat insert, or now there's starting to be some other companies. I think Bernal started a company. I think I mean, everyone's been on an insert, whether it was the Butler built back in the day. Now the inserts are getting nicer. I'd say that. I just really don't like mandating a lot of shit. Like, there's stuff you got to mandate, like a helmet.
Yeah.
But there's certain stuff where I give driver preference. I'll tell a funny story. Is back in the day when like Adam Petty was getting killed and Dale Earnhardt was getting killed, and there was a lot of basal skull fractures. There was a lot of people may forget this. There was a lot of people coming out with all these head and neck restraint systems. And at the time I was racing, and my dad, and I was a low buck, no money racer. And my dad said, look, I know you're a broke dick racer. I'm going to buy you the D cell. Like your mom and I have made the decision. Like I spent all the money on the car, and my parents said, yeah, we're buying you the D cell. And I ran it for one night, and I was like, Dad, I don't know how to tell you this, but I feel like my balls are getting like cut off when I run it. Like it had two straps that went in between your thighs. And I was like, Dad, when I'm in the car, like I didn't like the head movement, but I was like, okay, I'll learn to live with that. I was like, Dad, but it feels like my balls are getting. And then sure enough, a guy got his balls snipped in a crash running the D cell, and all of a sudden there was no more D cell. And yeah, like I raced it for 2 nights, and I'm like, Dad, I'm not this guy who's like I'm not Steve Kinzer and running the Ultra Shield or the Kirky forever. But I was like, yeah, like I legitimately feel like my balls are going to get cut off, and then it actually happened to a racer.
Yep.
So I think in the infant stages of doing these things, it's very, very dangerous to mandate something, because the D-cell was, I don't know if you remember it, Dom, I don't know if this is before your time, it was one of the major head and neck restraint systems at first, and then it just disappeared after that.
Yeah, I mean, I go so far as, and I want to state this, I think the chasm is going to be the right thing. I just don't think it's there yet. I think that a lot of our head and neck restraint systems, like the Hans or the R3 or the, I forget what the one I even run's called, Next Gen.
The hybrid?
I run the Next Gen, but yes, the hybrid, all that kind of stuff. I think that.
Sorry, I meant to say Next Gen. That's what our drivers back home run the Next Gen.
They run Next Gen, yeah. So the hybrid I know is a big one as well. Tanner Holmes, I think, runs that one. But I think they're all incorrect. I think all of them are incorrect. I think they're only for head-on crashes.
Yeah, I don't think they're incorrect. I think that's the wrong word. I think they're limited, though. Would that be correct?
Right. I can tell you that every concussion that I've ever had driving a sprint car has been from when I've had my head and neck restraints connected. Obviously, I know you have to have them connected. So I don't know. I just think that that like you think of the Hans device, a lot of guys are breaking collarbones on those, and then when it was the R3 and all that kind of stuff, you've seen such a jump in concussions, and I don't know if that's because the seats are so much better, or I don't think that I don't really know what it is, but we have a problem with concussions being a big issue, and I think it's from the head and neck restraints.
Yeah, Sam's asking if we're done. I think his autograph session's done, and he can come back up now.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think we gave pretty good answers on the head and neck restraint. I
haven't checked the comments. What are the comments doing?
Basically, ball jokes. Could you explain the belts need to be mounted to the seat, because that is the thing everyone is saying right now. And I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know one of the seat manufacturers literally doesn't think that's practical, or it's going to be one of these cause and effect things where like you do that to fix that, and then all of a sudden you've got another problem. Like I do know one of the prominent manufacturers would like to do that, but is scared of doing that. Could you kind of explain why that's going on?
Well, I know like NASCAR, their seats are like $12,000, $15,000, and that's for the metal ones. Because Gio's got one of them sitting in our shop from back when he did NASCAR, and they're like crazy expensive because their ratings are way higher. So I could see that being a problem. There's got to be a way around it. I mean, there really has to be.
Could you explain why it's so vital that they're connected to them?
Okay, yeah. So why it's important to me is when you take a hit and your body compresses already, the belts loosen up because they're one length. But when you take a hit and you compress and then the seat moves, let's say it moves an eighth of an inch or a quarter of an inch or whatever, your body is still traveling so much more. My biggest fear is the belts falling off your shoulder. And the first thing I'm going to hear someone say is, oh, that can't happen. It has happened, and it will happen again. And Eric Medlin, an old drag racer, died from that happening. So, call my fear, not realistic, but that's what I'm afraid of is you take a hit, your seat goes down and your belts aren't, and that makes it even that much more looser. And it allows the shoulder, maybe one falls off or both of them fall off. That scares me more than a back injury. I think back injuries are the number one thing we face in the sprint car world right now. And I commend Chasm for working hard on trying to find a solution, but it can happen and it will happen. I mean, we just haven't seen it yet. But man, I wouldn't want to run into the problem of your seat going down and then you're losing your belt. So I'm a little bit old school when it comes to safety and stuff, but I think that I think some of our stuff for our sport is maybe even too much. Like, I don't believe in the neck restraints. I don't believe in, I think the full containment seats are good, but I don't believe in some of those rules. I think that some of the things that we built are creating more injuries, and that's a whole nother, podcast.
Yeah. What was it? I had a thought on that. Let me read you. Actually, Gary Taylor, he's been running, what is it, the positive, the Camlock seatbelt.
I have no
Probably
idea.
butchering it. Basically, it's like a lot of the Indy cars have it. It's like the circle deal. You turn it, and that is basically where your latch is. And he loves that one. I'm actually surprised that hasn't caught on more. He says it's 10,000 times better than what people are currently using in sprint cars. He absolutely loved it when he ran his. Yeah, I think that's everything we got on that. Mike asked whose job was it to put gas in Sam's 360. We actually covered that yesterday. His crew guy put in fuel for a heat, and then the second Sam pushed off, did a oh shit, told our crew guys we were in trouble, and yeah, it was just straight up the crew guy fueled up for a heat race. Realized he'd made a mistake after, but Sam had already pushed off, and then we were praying for a quick B main. As I said yesterday, we're not one of those teams that like tries to push the boundaries on our weight on our cars. We generally overfill our tanks if we do anything. I'd say like, to give you an idea, at Knoxville, Alex and I run a feature. We go out with 20 gallons. We come in with 12. Like, in general, we are not a team that pushes it. Just a shitty deal. You get to these big races, it gets in your head a little, and we're definitely going to make fun of him for the rest of his life over it. But in the moment, it doesn't seem too funny at the time. But yeah, that's what happened. Just he put fuel in and then just realized, oh shit! Like, he had the light bulb as Sam was rolling around there, and he did tell people, dear God, we need no yellows. And then we got 7,000 yellows. Ashton Torgerson, I don't even want to touch that. I believe there was a lawsuit. I believe that got messy. So I don't even want to touch the Ashton Torgerson stuff.
Hi,
Yeah,
Andrew.
yeah, we would have been. You would have been. If the B main wouldn't have been 40 laps. Mike says if it wasn't 40 laps, you'd have been fine. But yeah, ultimately that's true. Three of the guys that I think Higday and Holmes also ran out of fuel, but it's still on us. In a 12-lap race, it's on us to have the fuel to get there. Jimbo wrote Sam is the kind of guy that everyone would be scared of after he ran out of fuel. I think our pit crew in general was surprised how well Sam took that.
God, I would have taken it terrible. I'd have thrown the biggest baby tantrum in the world.
There was about I'd say 30-second very loud discussion in the trailer after. And then I would say in general it was pretty over. Like Joe even commented to me like, "Whoa, I thought that was going to go way worse than it did." Alex's explanation is that now he's a dad. He's calmed down on that stuff and has way more patience than he did. But yeah, I did think that I was expecting Sam to take it a lot worse than he did. Honestly, I was surprised. I thought he would snap more, and he was just pissed off. But I think it's like I said. I mean, at that point, what can you do? I mean, it's over. It's done. There's no fixing it. I would love. I think it would be hilarious if we made the Knoxville Nationals A main, but didn't make the 360 Nationals A main this year. That's the last thing I ever thought could happen. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. You go from like thinking you could win the 360 Nationals to just utterly destroyed. But I mean, that's racing. That's the Nationals. You need everything to go right, and you can't have anything go wrong. How's the trucking business treating you?
Oh, it's trucking.
Yeah. So Jimbo wrote here, I once watched Ricky Warner knock out his crew guy while screaming, "You had one job because of fuel." There's a lot of those. There's a lot of crew arguments that I don't think people realize happen.
I remember when
favorite-
Gravel ran out at Calistoga with like 1 or 2 laps to go when he was driving the 5, and him and Barry Jackson were going at it.
Yeah, one of my favorites was Dale Blaney was winning an outlaw race at Lernerville, and they go yellow, and Dale Blaney's leading in the George Fisher 2 car, and he just comes rolling into the pits, and he rolls into the work area, and everyone's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And Dale's just sitting there, and Dale, he's like pretty cool. He's sitting there in the car, and it's probably like they wait like it seemed like 10 seconds at the time, but it was probably 1 second in real life. He's just sitting in the car. Everyone's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" He's not answering. He just looks forward and he goes, "Put some fuel in this race car." That's one I always remember. But no, that the crew stuff happens probably more than people realize, like inner fights and all that stuff, especially the big races. Like at the big races, that's just really, really hard.
I ran out at the Gold Cup when Jonathan Allard won.
I don't know this one.
Yeah, we started like 14th. Macedo won the night before for his first outlaw win, and we started like 14th, 13th, or 14th, and drove up to like 4th at the time. It was Pittman, Becker, Allard, me, and I found the rubber in 3 and 4, and everyone else was still running the top, and I like closed a straightaway back on him, and I'm like I'm gonna run into the top 3 right now, and got under Allard off of 4, and we went through the line. The yellow flag come out, so we're restarting 4th. I think there was like 11 laps to go or something like that, and we go green, and we take off, and it sputters, and I go through 1 and 2, go into 3, sputters again, and I completely run out going on down the back straightaway.
The other one I always remember, I used to talk to him a lot more. I just don't see him as much as I remember DJ Neto had an outlaw race wanted. I want to say Chico.
Chico, yep, he ran out.
And
it was over.
He ran out of fuel. And I remember, I think I saw DJ at Chili Bowl that year, and I was like, "Man, how'd you take that?" And he was like, "I couldn't get mad." He's like, "My crew guy was basically in tears over it. Like he there's also those times where you don't even need to yell at the guy. They feel so terrible that
Yeah.
like I wasn't there, but Neto said he was basically just the crew guy himself was just absolutely heartbroken.
Yeah.
Dom, there's a question for you from Blake.
I can't see him.
Dom, going back to what you said about Gio maybe running the bottom too long last night, how hard is it to go where they're not, even though you know your car isn't working in a certain line? This is a good Dom question because before you get into this was my takeaway that I told Dom at Dirt Cup. I felt like at Dirt Cup, Dom would run the other guy's line, and I feel like would run the opposite of the other guy's line, and I feel like that's the right thing to do when you have a good car, but I think it's the wrong thing to do when your car isn't good. Now, Dom, I think you'll give an excellent answer to this.
Yeah, so I think that's where you, like from my brother's standpoint, I think he runs, top 3 for sure last night if he cleans that up compared to 4th. What you have to do, and I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it. I'm a Monday morning quarterback here, but like if you roll the bottom in 1 and 2 and you hang, and maybe not hang, but just you're waiting on it, because like how you run Knoxville around the bottom is like you run in there with both feet and you get your brake and your gas, and you're probably 3/4 throttle pedal and you're probably halfway on the gas. And what you're wanting to do is almost hit like your left rear on the berm, like not your left front, like you're wanting to get it as close and as straight as you can. And then you get in, and once you get into the bottom, you're like 3/4 brake and you're like half to quarter throttle, and you're making it to the apex of the corner. And that's like playing with your feet. So I'm going to get to where you can see it. So you're like brake, gas, and then once you get to this center, there's this patch of like 30 feet where you have to like roll off of both of them, where you wait, and you're kind of like, that's where you see the cars on the bottom, that when they're running the bottom, they're kind of just sitting there, and the guy on the outside is just kind of sitting there, and then wham, you see the guy on the bottom really take off. And what that is once you get to the point in the corner where when you pick the pedal up, it's not going to spit you out, that is when you hammer it. And the sooner you can get back to the pedal, or both pedals, off of turn 2 and off of turn 4 on the bottom, the better you are on the bottom. So to me, it was always judging, like, where am I in the bottom? Like, what part of the bottom of the racetrack, like on the berm, like how far through the corner that I can start putting both pedals back down. And I think that, like, talking to him this morning, he was having to wait a really long time to get his pedal back down. And then it's just too slow. And when the top is as easy as it was to run last night, I feel like you try it once and then you get back to the top, and then, all right, well, I'm going to go back down there. And when you go back down there, you have to have already worked out the game plan as to what am I going to change to get myself back to the pedal faster, whether that's I'm going to enter harder and a little bit later, and to try and carry a little bit more wing speed to where I can get there. And then, maybe that'll carry me through to stick my right rear better. Or, hey, do I need to slow down earlier and be a little bit slower earlier to get to the pedal quicker? And so those kinds of things would be the difference for me running the bottom. But to answer your question, you have to figure that out like the first or the second time. And I think he did it too many times, because then you start driving across, you start sliding across. You don't want to be sliding across at Knoxville. The only guy that can make speed doing that is Brown. So for me, I felt like for Gio's race last night, I think it's a car that he doesn't know very well. It's a new team. It's a new deal. I'm probably, if I'm in his shoes and I'm rerunning this race now, I'm like, get to the top as fast as I can, make speed, run the thing as straight and as hard as I can. And then once I feel like, hey, I'm maybe closing in on the guy, or we're getting into traffic, now I'm going to try the bottom. And I probably am not going to try going bottom. I'm probably going to pick one corner, roll the bottom here. Was that any good? Was it not? If it doesn't work after 2 times, I think you got to give up on it until you see a guy back down there, or until the top is getting lippy and treacherous, and you're not able to make a smooth corner. So I don't even know if I answered the question, but those are kind of the things that I feel.
And the other thing I wanted to add, this is a comment I think fans really need to understand, and I don't think drivers related to the fans really well. A comment I've heard a lot this year is drivers are, because Knoxville, if you're on the bottom, there's grip. If you're on the top, there's grip. Because there's grip, I've heard it more this year, drivers are having a harder time telling, well, did I do that corner faster? on the bottom, or did I do it faster on the top? Especially when you don't have a car to gauge.
Yeah.
Drivers have been telling me it's a lot harder. I've never heard that comment, and then I've heard it several times this year. The other thing I don't think, and this is one fans I think complain about all the time, and I don't think drivers explain this well enough, is like, as the former 12-lap record holder and 3 straight heat race winner in 360s back in Canada, it's very hard when you're in the car. Say you got a guy like 5 car lengths in front of you. It's very hard when you say you run the bottom and maybe you gain 1 car length. And then the next corner you run the top and maybe you gain 2 car lengths. It is very hard to tell when you're in the car, well, did I even make a difference? Did it even make a difference? Like that's one thing I don't hear drivers talk about a lot, is when you're trying to find that line and it's a minor one, but it does matter. It's very hard in the car. Now, I'm not at your guys' level, but I found it very hard in the car to be like, okay, well, that line was better than this line.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a hell of a feel to be able to know. But the easiest cheat is, am I gauging the car in front of me? Like if you're the leader, it's hard to change lanes. And I think that when the leader does change lanes and is successful doing it, that's a very elite driver, and that's a guy that really knows, the speed he's carrying. But like as a driver, you can feel it. Like you can feel, man, I'm really waiting on this thing on the entry, or I'm really having to wait on the exit. I know I need to move. Or when you're running the top and the top's getting, like you're banging the nose over and it's curved up, and you can carry it to the center, and then you want it, the right rear wants to trip over the curb, or you're getting too plugged into it, and these kinds of different things that you're feeling. Okay, that was a tenth. That was a tenth and a half. All right, that's not working. And if you're the leader, a lot of times the lap car, like, am I slowing down my pursuit of the lap cars? Well, then is that rubber? Is the bottom getting better? Is the top just slowing down? Am I slowing down? I don't know. So that's where I feel like the elite guys or the really good guys they have to figure that out faster. And I don't think my brother did a very good job of that last night. I think that you've got to be able to figure it out faster. Of this isn't working. I understand what he's trying to do. He's really good around the bottom there. I would say he's probably top 5 best guys around the bottom of all the entrants this week. But if it doesn't work, you got to give up on it. You got to go. And last year's Knoxville Nationals, he didn't give up on it, and he did a phenomenal job, and it worked out. But the bottom, to me, was maybe not faster or better or anything, but the top was a little bit more treacherous because of the big curve. So that's the difference. Like, guys are getting caught up on the curve. The curve was harder to run. Last night, I think the top was really easy. So by no means am I saying what my brother did was bad or anything like that. It's that hard. And when you have a bunch of elite guys and a bunch of elite equipment, that's the difference between winning or running second and then running fourth.
To expand on what you're saying, what I've always told my drivers is you base it on the exit. If you're noticing the bottom is getting really, really slick on the exit and you're having to really pedal to make it, you probably need to switch the top. If you're on the top and you've made all this momentum and you're hanging, and it's getting worse and worse, you probably need to. I've always told my drivers to base it on the exit. And like you were saying with Gio, he's waiting to get back to it and he's having to wait too long.
Yeah, I think the two things for me that I try to look for, like whether I'm running 55th or I'm leading it, and this is anywhere, is where am I gaining and where am I losing? Like for me, historically, I'm gaining on the entry of the corner and I'm losing on the exit of the corner. Well, am I running it in too hard and I'm missing it, or I don't need to follow it around? Because like a lot of times, back when racetracks used to get slick on the West Coast, you'd be hammering the curb around and it'd be wide, and then you'd start getting to like lap 20, and then maybe you don't need to follow it all the way around. You follow it to the center, and then, whoa, I'm down to quarter throttle and I'm pedaling the race car underneath the cushion, and it gets clean, and you can kind of start making speed back. But you have to judge off of the lap cars and off of the cars that you're racing, and know, like, okay, when I run the bottom, I noticed from like lap 5 to lap 15 that I've slowed down. Here's a perfect example of it. The NARC Speed Week race at Roseburg. Sanders is leading it from around the bottom of 3 and 4, top of 1 and 2. I'm running second, and I'm running the bottom of 3 and 4, the top of 1 and 2, same line as he is. And the bottom's got good grip from the center off. Well, we have a restart with about 7 to go, single file restart. McFadden's in 4th. We go green, and before we go green, I noticed that the curb is built up a little bit on the wall, and there's a little bit of tire tracks, but it's not all the way clean yet. And I'm like, man, I wonder if I should go up there, but I felt like the bottom from the middle off is still good. So we go green, we go through 1 and 2. We go into 3, we both slow down. He skips out, I skip out. We both miss the bottom. Well, just from running around under yellow, it kind of slicked off and dried off that bottom. I got passed off before McFadden flew the top. So now we go through 1 and 2 again. I rip the top of 3 and 4 behind him, and we maintain the same speed, but now he passes Sanders. And then all of us got in line, and the 3 of us just ran 1, 2, 3 for the last 4 laps or whatever it was. But that was the difference. He felt the bottom slowing down enough before and tried the top and knew the speed that he could carry around the top was better. So being able to judge yourself is huge and very important, especially like when it lays rubber. The other night in Coos Bay when we got by Jesse Schlattfeld to win. He's running the top. He moved down to the bottom in traffic because it was starting to lay rubber. And I'm like, well, I got to stay up. And I stayed up and was able to get by him and then got back down. Well, then a lap car was too slow, and then you got to judge it off of the pace. I got to move that back to the top. So I guess that's the hard thing is you really have to understand the speed that you're carrying and know, is the racetrack as a total slowing down or is my lane slowing down?
We have a question here. Do you think Axom will realistically get a top 10? I'll answer that first. Answer that first. I don't think he will.
Oh, wow.
I think they got the talent. I think they got the car. They've got a car capable. My answer is anecdotal. We were around Axom last on the prelim night. He was the car that finished in front of us. I just saw 2 or 3 things where I'm like, the elite cars don't like. I'll give an example anecdotally. Like on the opening lap, Tim's railed the top, right? Well, us and Axom had to cheat it. There was a corner where Axom nearly let us get by, where it was okay, we can't do that. We can't do that to an elite car, but we can do it to him. There was 2 or 3 moments where I'm like, whoa, Axom is vulnerable. I guess this is the best way to say it. There was 2 or 3 moments chasing Axom. He was faster than us. He eventually drove away from us. But there was 2 or 3 laps where he was vulnerable to us, where I think guys who are going to finish in the top 10 of the Knoxville Nationals will not be vulnerable to us, if that makes sense. He was faster than us. I just saw too many moments where it's if this would have worked out, we might have gotten him. And once the race got going, he drove away from us. But I just saw 2 or 3 little moments where I'm the elite cars don't have this. The top 10 cars don't have these situations.
I think Larson.
Talent, yeah.
I think Larson gets by him. And then outside of Larson, possibly Peck, and depending on how Gio is, possibly Gio. But those 3 guys are the only guys that I think will drive by him. So
yeah, but I think we're going to add 4 guys tonight that all can.
Gravel, I could see. But I don't know.
I can name guys. I think if I name Buddy, I think you wouldn't be surprised if Buddy drove by him. I don't think, we can start getting to guys that are in this Friday, and it's he can drive by him.
Okay, we'll do this one. $5.5 million bet, you and me. I think he runs 10th or better. You think he runs 11th or worse?
I'll make you this deal. You told me there's a badass Italian restaurant. When I go to Trophy Cup, you buy if he runs 10th or better.
Yeah.
I buy if he you buy if he runs top 10. I buy if he
I know what you're saying.
You know what we're saying. I'm the terrible.
Yeah. Plus that $5 million. Cash.
Here's a question I think you'd like to answer. First of all, there's a guy saying we're too damn sexy, and he's absolutely right. But someone said Sanders seems to be a driver that you really have to watch yourself racing around him. I don't think you feel that way.
I think Justin is incredibly aggressive. I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to give you a free lane. I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to give you a free pass or secede. But I don't feel like he's just going to wreck you. Him and I have raced a lot, and we've talked about this till we're blue in the face with each other. I've never been wrecked by Justin. Justin's never been wrecked by me. We both have up slide jobs on each other and cut them way too close. We both have chopped each other. We both have raced each other really hard, but we haven't had that issue yet, and we will, but we haven't had that issue yet because I think we just like I'm more of a giver and he's more of a taker. And there's times where we're good. I know how to pressure him into either making a mistake or pressuring him into where he doesn't have an option. And he's really good at putting me away whenever we're racing. And you know, he may not even have the better car, but he's able to put me away. So Justin is a really aggressive guy. He's not going to give an inch to anybody. But yeah, I don't think he's dirty. I don't worry racing next to him because I know who he is and how he is, and I've raced with him since I was 10 years old.
Someone said, do Buddy and Donnie get in? It'd be crazy. And then someone else wrote, do we really think Donnie's going to miss the show? I'll be honest. I think he's missing the show.
Yeah, I
was here for the early weekend outlaw shows. I thought he was time trialing terrible. I thought he raced really good the first week. The second round here, I'm going off memory, but the second time I saw him, I thought he looked worse. And then when he ran so good in the Cappy, and that's what you got to remember, he did run good in the Cappy, or like Knoxville A-Main starter level in the Cappy, on a not Donnie Schatz surface, by the way. That gave me hope, but then I lost hope there. And I alluded to it early today. This format is really, really nasty if you can't lay down a time trial lap.
Yeah.
And if they can't, and yeah, someone said, yeah, let's count Danny out. And I assume they're being sarcastic, but it's like, I'm a bettor. You guys know I'm a pretty good sports bettor. And at some point you have to take current form into your bet. And right now his current form.
Well, I'll just say this. I'm not counting Donnie out. Yeah. I'm counting the 15 out.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I think Donnie's good enough to win this friggin' race
right now,
all day long.
Right now.
I think their team's current form makes it more likely that he misses it than doesn't.
Yeah, I agree.
There's been some good questions coming in.
I've got about 3 minutes left, and then I have to go back.
Okay, Thorson, what do you think Sweet's chances are starting towards the front with the new crew? I think we've implied this before. We think Sweet has way more input on that car than people realize. I think
him and Casey, they've talked so much, just like I said yesterday, they're on. I wouldn't even be worried about them.
Yeah, I just think it's just like any other time Brad Sweet's around the Knoxville Nationals. I think the difference will be very negligible. His time trial lap was freaking impressive. I think they're good. Yeah, Donnie's still Donnie. I agree with that. But okay, name your year that Donnie won a race this year. I mean, yeah, Donnie's still Donnie, but I mean,
I don't think it's Donnie.
To say. No, but he's saying.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's Donnie. Like, I know it's not Donnie. He's uncomfortable. That car has not done shit all year long. It hasn't looked good all year long. Donnie can get into if Donnie jumped into the 2, I think he wins the Knoxville Nationals.
I think if Donnie's with Ricky Warner, they've won about 3-4 more.
Yeah.
That's one of my what ifs is like, I would have loved to have seen Donnie and Ricky take on Silva and Larson.
Yeah.
Longer. Like, it's a forgotten Nationals, but there was a Nationals where like Larson, Donnie, and Sweet went at it. I want to say it was the year Sweet won. Those 3 went at it, and it was epic. Dominic, check your email. Daryl, smile. I have a permanent resting bitch face. Got it from my father. I think Dom and I both believe in Donnie big time. I don't think they're operating. If you had to say right now, a car that their car is a Knoxville Nationals A-Main car, I don't. I'd love to be wrong. I'm a huge Donnie fan. Like, if he makes it in tonight, I'll be like, I don't know if I'd say clapping, but I will be very happy after that race is over. He's our number one viewed podcast of all time. Like, I think Donnie's a badass. I just the team just isn't where it is, yet where it needs to be. I don't think. So are we good there, Dom? I mean,
I think so.
I think we should wait 5 seconds to make this a full 2 hours. So yeah, thanks, Dom.
I'll see you maybe tomorrow.
Oh, we're doing this every day. Oh, that's one more thing. Master Gasser, should we bring Master Gasser on tomorrow?
I think so.
Master Gasser, if you want to come on tomorrow, just you know how to get a hold of me. We'll figure that out.
Awesome, guys. We'll see you.